Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for hopping on this video. If you have not already liked and subscribed to my channel, please go and do that. It helps us out tremendously. Today is probably going to be one of the hardest videos I've ever had to film. I am super excited because spreading EB is huge to me, and I feel like I have many callings on my life, but I think one of the biggest callings in this season of my life, I feel, is to share EB, raise awareness, and let's find a cure for this terrible skin condition that my family personally has been affected, and there's so many families out there that are going through this. If anything comes out of this video, I want to help anybody that has EB, any family members that need some advice on EB. We've been through so much with Jackson. I would have loved to have a video like this where I could just watch and get some info, just learn more about it. So that's what this video is today. I posted on my Instagram for you guys to send me some questions that you had about EB, and I got 2 or 3, and then I got 2 or 3 on Facebook, but I also just like the general questions that people ask me and Kindle about Jackson. I just wrote down several of the questions, and I'm just going to be answering them today. What is EB? So EB is short for epidermolysis bullosa. EB is a group of rare inherited skin disorders that cause the skin to become very sensitive, very fragile, and any trauma, any friction, or anything like that can cause painful blisters. The 3 main types, number 1, EB simplex, EBS, is the most common type and tends to be milder with low risk of serious complications. The second is dystrophic EB, which ranges from mild to severe. The third type of EB is junctional EB. It is the rarest, most severe type of EB that there is. Most people that have babies that are born with EB that don't exactly know what's going on, they can have a genetic testing, and it will tell you exactly what the skin condition is and what type, what subtype, etc. They offered that to us while we were in the hospital with Jackson, but because Kindle already had simplex EB, we knew that's what Jackson had because they were so similar. So we didn't get the testing, but we are pretty confident that Jackson has EBS, which is epidermolysis bullosa simplex, and he outgrew it. So Jackson will always have his skin condition. The older he gets, the better his skin is going to build up resistance. I get this question a lot. Is it in the same category as eczema? So it is not in the same category. Like I explained, it is an inherited condition that he just inherited from his dad. So the next question is, can it be cured? EB, unfortunately, cannot be cured. They are in the process right now of trying to find a medicine for EB. The medicine for EB has been in the works for the longest time. Kindle will be 25 this month, and there's still no medicine for it. So that is part of the reason that I want to raise awareness, because 1, I want to help people that are going through the same thing I am, but 2, I want to find a medicine that can help my son. Like I said, it can't be cured, but there is medicines that can help with pain, and then there are different creams that we use for Jackson that helps with the redness and just helps in general. It's a pretty strong steroid cream that we use. We just use it on the places that are irritated. We have seen a huge improvement with using that. If Jackson has a day where he's kind of fussy and his skin seems irritated, we will either give him ibuprofen or Tylenol just to take the edge off. To kind of explain how painful it was when Jackson was younger, he was getting morphine every 3 hours in the hospital. So the next question is, what helps it and what makes it worse? So like I said, what helps it? We do the cream, and we do a few different things. Like in his bath, we use Dr. Teal's Epsom salt coconut liquid, and that kind of seems to help his skin a little bit. The main thing is just keeping his skin clean and trying to keep it. Some days it's either keeping it super dry, some days it's keeping it moistened. Every day is so different. It's so unpredictable. What makes Jackson's skin worse? Heat. During the summer, his skin always seems to be just a little more irritated. Being outside for too long, because he gets super sweaty, the sweat will cause friction and will cause blisters. So keeping him cool and trying to find clothes that are super soft and that don't rub is things that we try to do to help it. The next question, which I kind of answered up here, is do the parents have it, mom or dad? So I do not have EB, but my husband Kendall was born with EB as well. So the next question I have, I think I'm going to get Kendall to film a separate video on his journey with EB, because he has been through so much with EB, just him alone, that I think it's very worthy of a separate YouTube video. But the next question is Kendall's journey with it, so be watching for that video. What type of EB does Kendall have? I think I answered this a few minutes ago, but Kendall does have EB simplex. The next question is, did we know Jackson would have EB? To answer that, we didn't know that Jackson would indeed have it. We were sent to a specialist in Birmingham for like an in-depth ultrasound, and on an ultrasound you can't tell anything about the skin. The doctor said on the ultrasound that his skin looked absolutely perfect. So the chances of Jackson having EB was 50-50. So we, in our minds, prepared, if he had it, but we really just didn't think too much about it. If he did have it, it wasn't going to change anything. So the next question is our routine. So after Jackson came home from the hospital, we would have a routine of dress and change. So what entailed to that was we would first unwrap the bandages that were already on there, and then we would give him a bath. After the bath, we would get him out and pop the blisters that were on his skin already. And after we popped the blisters, we would apply Aquaphor. And then after the Aquaphor, we would apply Vaseline gauze, which is just like normal gauze, but it's soaked in Vaseline, so it's really, really thick and moistened. After the Vaseline gauze, then we would apply regular gauze, and we would just wrap his arms and legs. That was to keep his skin protected when he was younger. Now that we are no longer using bandages and he is bandage free, our routine looks a little different. I try to give Jackson a bath every single day, and after he gets out of the bath, I still pop his blisters, drain them, but instead of using Aquaphor now, I use the steroid cream on top of those places. The next question is, will Jackson's kids have EB? The answer to that would be the same answer that we received when I was pregnant with Jackson. Simplex, the chances of Jackson's kids having it is 50-50 as well. How rare is EB? So, 1 in 30,000 to 50,000 kids are born with EB. So it is very, very, very rare. The next question is, did Kendall's parents have it? So we get this question very often, not asking about Kendall's parents, but asking if anybody in Kendall's family prior to Kendall being born had EB, and we have no recollection of anybody in Kendall's family having EB. Kendall was the first generation of EB to pop up. So the last question that I have is, how was it delivering an EB baby? So I'm not going to get in too deep of my delivery with Jackson, because it was the most traumatizing event that's ever happened in my life, and I also think that's worthy of another YouTube video. Looking back, we probably would have handled things a lot different, just because the hospital in our town is not the greatest. During my pregnancy, at my 20-week anatomy scan, we explained to my gynecologist about Jackson might have an EB, and that was when we were sent to UAB to the specialist. We tried to explain to him that we thought it might be a better delivery if we went ahead and scheduled a C-section, just because of the trauma of delivering him vaginally. We didn't want it to hurt Jackson's skin if he did have EB. So we basically begged my gynecologist to schedule me a C-section. My doctor refused because he said I didn't have enough medical issues. I was a gestational diabetic. I had high blood pressure. I had issues with my potassium dropping, and I had many different things during my pregnancy that he could have scheduled a C-section, but he just refused to. So I went into labor at 38 weeks, and I indeed delivered Jackson vaginally and naturally at that. When Jackson came out, I didn't notice his skin at first because, you know, when babies are born that they have blood and mucus and, you know, all that stuff on their skin. So I didn't notice anything about him. So I looked at Kendall and Kendall's mom and my mom, and I was like, he's perfect, he's perfect. And in my head, I was like, okay, he don't have it. Well, Kendall was right beside me, and he just broke down. Kendall realized in that moment that Jackson did have it because he saw his hands and his feet. When Jackson was born, really the only thing affected of his body was his hands and feet. Jackson did have shoulder dystocia, so one of his shoulders got stuck during delivery, and so they kind of had to pull on his head really hard, so he had a few places on his head, but other than that, the delivery for his skin really wasn't too bad. So I believe that is all the questions that I'm going to answer today. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Make sure to like and subscribe, and if you have any more questions, I can do a part 2 to this soon. Just comment them down below. But again, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye guys.